Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be starting our discussion of Course of Study Standards 3 and 4, dealing with the types of economic systems, how they address the needs and wants of the people. We're also looking at the 7 economic goals of our specific economic system and the characteristics of that economic system. Today, our objective is I can evaluate the differences in the types of economic systems and the advantages and disadvantages of each. We're going to be looking at we're going to be looking at economic systems. Well, what is an economic system or economy? You're going to hear those two terms interchanged a lot, or you may hear me say either one, but they mean the exact same thing. An economic system is an organized way of providing for the needs and wants of their people. So how they go about providing for those needs and wants determines the type of economic system they will have. Well, how do they go about providing for the needs and wants of people? They have to answer the 3 basic economic questions: what to produce, how to produce it, and for whom to produce. And what are they producing? The goods and services in order to meet the needs and wants of the people. So, how they answer the question determines what type of economic system that they have. We have 4 types. We really have 3 types, but a mixed economy is a combination of 2 different types. So we have a traditional economy, a command economy, and a market economy, and then the mixture would be our mixed economy. Starting off with traditional. The root word of traditional is what? Tradition. They go about meeting the needs and wants of the people and allocating those resources. Remember how they use the resources is all based on their customs, rituals, habits, traditions. Okay, so the way they've done things in the past is the way they're going to continue to do them. Let me give you an example. If your family is a farmer in one of these types of economic systems, you will be a farmer. Your grandkids, your great-grandkids, all the way down are going to be farmers. Why is that? Because, guys, that is the only skill they know. That is what they have been taught from their parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents, all the way down the line. They only can teach the skills that they know. And the skills that they know are based on those customs, traditions, and habits. In this economic system, you know what role you're going to play, because it's the role of your traditions, your customs. Your family were farmers, you're going to be a farmer. These tend to be very close family-centered societies. Not only that, they're typically going to be tribal societies. Think of our Native Americans. They're going to be our best example here in the United States of a traditional economy. There are some advantages and disadvantages of this type of system. Really the only advantage is you know exactly what role you're going to play in this economy, because it's been dictated to you by your customs and your traditions. You do as your family has done. Now, because you do what your family has done, they're not going to welcome new ideas of doing things. If you're a farmer and you figured out new ways of farming that would enhance the tribe, they really don't care. They're not going to encourage new ideas. Even if it is better and it would produce more, they still do not care, because that's not the way custom and tradition is dictated. There are very strict rules against breaking those traditions. You could be kicked out of your tribe, forced to leave, very strict rules. And typically these are going to be lower standards of living. So they're very poor societies. Now, they may not think of themselves as poor, but based on our terms of standard of living or quality of life, they typically are very poor societies. Okay, let's look at command economies. The Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx is probably one of the founding works for the command economy. Now, what is a command economy, you ask? Let's look at this particular quote by Karl Marx. It says, "Let the ruling classes tremble at the communist revolution. The proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. They have a world to win. Working men of all countries unite." Well, what does that even mean? Let's think about it. Command means you're doing what? You are telling somebody what to do. Who is doing the telling? The government. The government owns everything. The government owns everything in a command economy because they are commanding you what to do. They are commanding how the resources are used. Everything that is dictated in a command economy is done so by the government. The government answers the three fundamental questions, and it's whatever they want to do, quite frankly, because they don't care. They don't care if you don't like what they are producing. They do not care if you like or are happy with the selections that you have at the store. They don't even really care if they provide for your basic needs. What they care about is that you're doing exactly what they are telling you to do. It says, people do not need to worry about making profits. Why? Because the government is going to give you your job. You don't have to worry about making a profit because you're not working for yourself. You're working for the government. Some of our very best examples: Cuba, China, North Korea. Now, why did I have the quote of Karl Marx there? Because all of those were communist countries. Guys, look at the example. Every example here is a communist country or was a communist country. The only one that is not still is the USSR because that is now Russia. And Russia is not a communist country. Or a command. Okay, when I say communist and command, guys, communism would be the government. Command would be the economic system. But they go hand in hand. Okay, they are the exact same thing. No matter whether you're talking about the government, no matter whether you're talking about the economic system, the government is dictating and controlling everything in these economies. Some advantages. There's a lot. They look real good. Except they all deal with the government and them basically telling you what you're going to do. Everybody has a job. Do you get to pick your job? Nope. Does the government care if you like your job? Nope. Because you are going to do exactly whatever job the government's telling you to do. Now, everybody has equal pay for equal work. That's fair, right? They want you to be able to survive because if you don't make enough to survive, then they have a dead employee. And they do not want a dead employee. Free healthcare. Healthcare for everybody. And it's free. It's great, right? No, it is not great. Guys, the healthcare in these economic systems, if you need a heart transplant, baby, you're going to have to get on a waiting list because that free healthcare means everybody gets healthcare, but it may take a very, very long time for you to get your healthcare. Okay, so yes, it's free, but it's not very good. The government won't go out of business. Government's not going to go out of business. Private citizens, private business owners can go out of business, but the government's not. And the government can change production very quickly. So, because they own all the factors of production, remember land, labor, capital, entrepreneur were our factors of production. Because they own all the factors of production, if today they decide that they don't want to make clothes, that they want you to make shoes, they just move the resources and very quickly. They can change from making clothes to making shoes. It is just that simple in a command economy. Well, some disadvantages. Nope. All right, some disadvantages. And there are a lot of disadvantages. Government can be corrupt very easily in a command economy. Could the government be corrupt? It happens a lot. Cuba, China, North Korea. Little individual freedom in some countries and some command economies or communist countries. The government can even dictate how many children you have. They dictate where you live. Very, very little individual freedom there. No incentives to make better goods and services. Now, you better produce exactly what they tell you to produce and how much of it they tell you to produce. But if you have new and inventive ways of doing things, it's not going to be rewarded. Neither is hard work. But if you don't work hard, you will be punished. Okay, there's no competition. Why is there no competition? When I say competition, for example, Target and Walmart would be competition. Why is there no competition? Because the government controls and owns all the businesses. Okay, that is why there is no competition. And then the consumer's needs are not met. The consumer's needs are not met. All right, so market economy. Market economy, the founding economist for the market economy was Adam Smith, and I talked to you a little bit about Adam Smith the other day. It is not from the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, or the baker that we expect our dinner, but from our own self-interest. Okay, so this economic system is about you, about how you want to do things, about individuals. Remember, a market is a mechanism in which goods can be bought and sold. So, if we're looking at individuals, we're looking at you and me. We're looking at our interest, not the government telling us what to do, not our customs and traditions telling us what to do. Strictly us, our own interest, our own desires, dictating what we are going to do in this economy. It says individuals in the markets own the resources. So, if you're an entrepreneur, you own your business. Nobody's dictating what you do with it. Says in the market, consumers and producers answer those three basic economic questions. Okay, consumers would be us, producers would be the business owners. But how do we together go about answering those three basic economic questions? That's through what we buy, through what we purchase. When they do interest groups and when they ask ideas, ask surveys, that's because they want to know a little bit more about what you would like to purchase. In a market economy is driven by competition. The more businesses, the better prices. They want somebody to compete with. It forces them to be innovative, to be creative on how they go about selling their businesses. Profit incentives, a desire to make money, right? Profit motive. If you own your own business, you want to make money. Well, I'm sitting at work right now. Why am I here? Because I want to make money. No, I don't own this great big old building. I'm not the entrepreneur here, but I still have a desire to make money. So that's why we go to work. And then our own self-interest. We do things that are beneficial to us. Businesses do things that are beneficial for them. Some of our best examples: the United States, Canada, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, and most of Western Europe. That would be England, France, Italy. Most of them are going to fall into the market economy. As the one example I want you to know is United States. Okay, that is what you need to know. We fall into the market economy category. All right, but in this market economy, one of our key ideas is laissez-faire. Laissez-faire. Hands off. It is a French term meaning hands off. The government does not or should not interfere in the market economy and what the markets do, how they go about selling their goods, the price they sell their goods, what stores we go to purchase in. Government should have no intervention. That is what laissez-faire means. The government will function best, the economy will function best if the government keeps its hands off it. Well, Adam Smith, when he wrote The Wealth of Nations, he said no government involvement plus self-interest plus competition plus the invisible hand all equal a good for, or do equal rather, good for economy. All right, so I told you that the producers and the consumers are the ones that dictate what goes on in a market economy. Okay, so let's look at each side. Producers, we'll start with the producer because they're the one that wants to make money, profit maximizers, right? They want to make money. Okay, they want to produce the goods as cheaply as possible, produce the goods that we want to buy, and sell their goods and services for a high but reasonable price. Because think about it, if prices are too high, we are not going to want to buy it. Okay, then the consumers. The consumers here are the cost minimizers. We want to buy things at the lowest price possible. Okay, so we want to buy it as cheap as possible, but we want good services, good quality goods and services that we can afford, and we're willing to pay a reasonable price as long as the goods and services are of good quality. Well, some advantages and disadvantages. High degree of individual freedom here. Government doesn't tell you where to work, doesn't tell you where to shop, doesn't tell a business owner how to own their business, how to run their business. High customer satisfaction. Typically, we purchase what we want to purchase. And on the whole, we're probably pretty pleased with what we purchase. If we don't, that's why we have return policies, right? Lots of different types of goods and services. We have a whole range. There's not just one. If you go to the store and look at a particular shirt, well, there may be 5 colors of that same particular type of shirt. And they have varied goods because the customers like to have that variety of goods. Typically, we're able to adjust to change. Think about right now in the coronavirus. Businesses are having to adjust how they do business, how they conduct their business. Whether it's social distancing, how many they can have in their stores, requiring their employees to wear masks. Even so far as my husband, who works for the state of Alabama, is still working from home because of how many people they have in their building. Right? And all of this is done with very little government involvement. Government's not dictating to us what goes on in our businesses. Now, do they have a little bit of say-so? Yes, because we have things like health codes and things like that. But on a whole, they do not tell us how to run our business. Some disadvantages. Lack of public aid and services. Guys, we're talking about our welfare programs. It's typically not enough for everybody to get it that may need it. Okay? And then we have to worry about market failures. What if my business goes under? What would happen to me if my job laid me off? How would we be able to survive and meet our needs if my business doesn't stay open. Okay, so a mixed economy, guys, is a combination of both a market and a command economy. Let's look at how that is. Okay, so it says, in a mixed economy, they're going to answer those 3 economic questions that we discussed, or what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce it. But let's look at each individual one. What to produce. In a mixed economy, it is determined by the consumers and partly by the government. Okay, I told you that the government has a little bit of say-so in what goes on in our businesses, right? How we can produce it, what we can produce. We can't go out and say we're just going to open up a marijuana store, right? It doesn't work that way. Government says, no, 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 can't do that. Okay, so what to produce is partly dictated by the government here. How we produce it. The producers are the ones seeking profit and determine how they're going to produce it, but the government can dictate how things are done to protect the workers. Think about our workers' compensation laws. If you're hurt on the job, they have to pay you. Even now, if I catch coronavirus while I'm at work, they have to give me time off for being sick. If you are a minor, you can only work to a certain time, right? You can only have so many hours in a week if you're a part-time employee. All those are things that are dictated by the government. And then for whom to produce is determined partly by purchasing power. Remember, if you can pay for it, you can buy it, right? In our economy. And then partly by the government, because there are certain things that you just cannot sell, like marijuana. Okay, guys, that ends our discussion of Section 1. The next time, we will look at our 7 economic goals of our specific economic